Okay, the October 11th, 2021 meeting of the Library Advisory Board is called to order. Secretary, please take roll. Are there any additions or corrections, anything you want to add to the agenda now that it's before us?
Huh? Oh, you're still back there?
Okay. Any citizens' comments from anyone? No. Let's look at the minutes, which Holly provided us with from our April 12th, 2021 meeting. Everyone got these in advance. Have you had a chance to look them over? Are there any additions and corrections to the minutes?
No additions or corrections, but I commend Holly on her thoroughness in the minutes.
Absolutely agree.
Thank you.
All right, so the minutes are,
I move that we approve the minutes of the April 12th, 2021 meeting.
is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstains, okay, motion passes. Elaine Hughes, welcome. Elaine is our newest member. She has come in on Andrea's resignation. She will complete Andrea's term, which ends in 22. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you were invited to join this board?
I have moved to Lago Vista 8 years ago. I have worked at the POA for the Highland Lakes Golf Course, and also I was the director of the Chamber of Commerce for the last 6 years. Always been a member of the library and use it often, and I'm glad to be part of this group.
Excellent. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Nice to have you. Okay, we're going to waive the city council report. Kevin let me know he wasn't going to be here. Jan, you're up. Library report. Hello. Can I help you?
That's Dave Street.
That's Dave Street.
All right.
Stan was already in starting it.
He's already got it going for you guys?
Yes, thank you.
Dave is our magical IT.
Yes, I know who he is. I just don't know if we ever had a face-to-face.
Did we get one in the packet?
It's not in the
No.
packet, but I did send it Friday.
All right, take
Okay,
one and
just to-
pass. Jan.
Just to catch you all up, I think most of you know that Christina Frisbee did not come back after, she had to remain at work from home during COVID. And she has a job where she could stay at home now, so she just felt it was safer to do that. And we have hired a wonderful young lady named Catherine Durham. We call her Kat. And we are lucky enough for our library assistant. She just got her master's degree in library science. So we really, we had a lot of wonderful applications. It was a tough decision. We had some great applications.
Oh, okay.
But Kat is the person, if any of you know about the craft swap we had this past weekend, that was her idea.
Craft swap. At
Yeah,
the book sale?
where people it's no sale, it's just anybody in the community that has craft supplies, art, crocheting, knitting, whatever. If you have extra things, just bring them to the library. And then on Saturday, she had them all organized on tables and people just came in and took what they wanted.
Wow.
You could just bring
nice
something or
idea.
take something, and no money changed hands.
Wow.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, so that was her idea. So I was.
She had stuff to swap, I'll betcha.
To catch you up to date on our COVID-19 update, the mask mandate was lifted in May, and then we also no longer quarantine the books and other materials that come in. We consulted other libraries, and then we happened to have a volunteer whose husband is an epidemiologist who worked with the Ebola virus, and he's been very helpful in giving us some advice on things to do. So we stopped that. We reopened the meeting room. We ask that we try to keep your groups to 20, 25 people or less and spread out. There's enough room to spread out in there. And so far it's working well. In September, because Kat came on board, we were able to open back up to our regular hours. We couldn't do that with just the three of us. And, excuse me, but we now have our evening hours back and Saturday.
Are there people who use the library between 6 and 8 p.m.? Is it worth it to have the
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
library open and staff there?
It is not, I have not seen the statistics because it's only been a month, so I haven't really seen what's going on right now. It's not been a big crowd. And typically, it's just kind of a handful of people that come in, maybe on their way home from work will stop in and pick up things or get something copied or
Do you have to have 2 people on site, 2 staff
Yes,
members?
we always
at
have.
night?
anytime. We always try to have 2 people there, so just for safety reasons. And so far, that's working out well. And let's see, we did continue social distancing the computers. You know, we have the 8 computers, but we don't have all 8 of them open, and that has not been a problem. So we try to leave one in between one to stay empty, so that there's always some space between computer users. And we decided to continue the virtual children's programs. That was a tough one. I mean, we really tossed that around a lot because we miss the kids. And so many kids come in the library with their parents, but we miss the programs. But when the COVID numbers started spiking in the schools, and we just thought this is just not the time to do this. So we are looking into maybe having an outdoor story time once a week. We're trying to see if we can work out some, it would be a fair weather story time. So on a nice day, if it's raining or freezing, you know, you probably wouldn't be able to do that. I don't think the freezing's a
that'd be
problem
nice,
for us,
yeah.
not now. But anyway, but we are still, PJ and Rachel take turns reading for the virtual story times, reading books, and several of the publishers are still giving us permission to do that, to read their books. So
And is COVID still rabid in the schools?
I don't know what the numbers are, in all honesty, I can't say right now. Tricia might.
It was up a little bit. There is a teacher who died here with COVID.
Ooh.
What was her name?
I don't know. He was a he. I don't know. It was real fast.
I think that spike is over at
Yeah,
the
I
high
hope
school.
so. Yeah, we're hoping so. And then our ongoing adult programs are going on virtual programs as well as on-site. It just depends on the group. One of the book groups just recently decided to go back to virtual for right now. But other groups are meeting, so. But the meeting room's not being used quite as much right now. And then, and as I was talking about the children's program, those virtual programs can be seen on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, on the YouTube channel. I happily want to let you know we got 2 grants this year so far. Looking for one more to work on before the end of the year. I don't know if that's going to happen. But the Lago Vista Women's Club gave us a $1,000 grant, and we used that to subscribe to Tumble Books, which is a read-along program, curated books. And if you go, and we got the Platinum edition, which allows us to share it with the schools. You know, always look for ways to try to partner with the school in some way, and the schools are allowed to use it too. And you don't have to be a member of the library, just go to the library website, click on Tumble Books, and you can see what's there. But it's a person reading books as well as some National Geographic videos. And the other cool thing is the books, you can also look at books in Spanish and French. That's a good way for a child maybe to learn another language. We just received the Texas Book Festival grant for $2,500, and that we spent on large print books and audiobooks. And our thought was, we're having a good number of people coming in asking for large print books. So we thought this would really be a plus for someone sight impaired. Plus audiobooks on CDs are still popular out here. There are still a number of people that want the CDs rather than just downloading them from Overdrive. We received our accreditation from the Texas State Library and Archives Commission for the next year. This is something new that just came up. The Voter Registration Implementation Plan is a plan that the Secretary of State, we had to submit a plan for how we would help someone register to vote. And we, you know, as most of you know, we've had voter registration cards forever in the library. We have them in Spanish and English. But this is a more concentrated effort to help people. And it's our Apollo system, our catalog system, actually prompts the person at the front desk, at the CERT desk, If someone is applying for a new card or renewing their library card, it prompts you to ask if they need a voter registration card. This plan, and I added the copy of the plan, I included this back here. We just had it approved by the Secretary of State's office, and it has the different procedures that we would follow if someone needs help applying to register to vote. And even to the point that we might be responsible for taking their cards to the voter registration office if they can't get there for some reason, so. But we looked at several other libraries and how they did them, and I ran this, of course, by Tracy, our city manager. And so that is now in
So
effect.
you would be responsible for delivering these?
We could be.
And,
We could be if
you'll be
somebody,
investigated someday, you realize that, don't you?
Do you
Well-
mean deliver or do you mean mail?
no, we're not
Deliver.
allowed to mail them. Staff cannot mail them, but
A person mails it though, right? You just put a
person
stamp
mails
on
it,
the
yes, but
card.
the staff must
see.
deliver it. I think it's within 5 working days.
And where do
By
you
the-
deliver it to? Where is the registration
The
office?
closest one is 43 miles away,
Oh, my goodness.
or 43-minute drive anyway. Pflugerville has an office open in Airport Boulevard. So this would be really tough
Did you
for us.
volunteer for this?
No, I did not volunteer for this.
Yeah, it says
Now,
mandate.
Yeah, that if someone cannot deliver their own, I mean, they could ask us to do this. So, I've already voiced my concern to the Secretary of State's office, and she said she's heard from other
I
libraries. The
think
smaller
so.
libraries have a tough time, and ours is, because we're a small staff. I just said we don't leave one person in the library by themselves, so. And our
Wow.
numbers of volunteers is a little bit lower.
So nowhere does it say they pay mileage or
No.
waive liability or,
No.
geez, oh Pete, okay.
I know.
Whatever.
Yeah, that was the only part that we struggled with. If we lived a few miles down the road from, we live in Austin or something, might be different, but, anyway, but and out here, this is such a giving community. I mean, anybody out here would want to help somebody. If somebody physically couldn't get to an office, you want to help them, but, as long as it's not a lot of people, that could be very time consuming.
It doesn't say here that it has to be delivered. It just says it will submit. So
It has to be, where is it?
It's the 5th day requirement that's.
Yeah, where is it?
It means once a week you could be driving 43 miles,
You
or let's
could.
say 86 miles,
Could
because
be,
you gotta
yeah.
come home.
Yeah, so I assume that the
And
mileage would
it
come
also
from the city,
doesn't
I don't know.
say, well, library employees, so it could be you or the new kid on the block?
It can be any of the employees, it cannot be a volunteer.
Wow.
Could you ask Danny if one of his guys is going into county office or something like that he could drop it off?
Possibly, I'd have to check into it. Yeah, you wouldn't think that the state would care if it were.
Well, it's not a problem until you get some applications.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That
that
was-
was
that was the
problem
only-
next November, or,
Yeah.
preceding the election.
but we're happy to help someone. And then it provides the website where we order them from the state. And then also, the staff does a little training each year too. And it's a video training that they have to help someone.
That's just
Okay.
one more demonstration of the library serving the community and not just,
Yeah.
checking out
It's
books.
not all about books, no ma'am, it's not.
Community service.
If you saw how many people come in for the copy machine to have things notarized, we have been inundated with people needing notary services. Yeah, so.
Well, and the fax.
The fax
faxes,
machine, yeah.
And
Scanning and emailing.
a lot of adults in this community do not have either good internet or a computer. It's adults who use the computers more than young people.
Yeah, the fast speed internet also, so.
All right, keep moving.
Our art displays continue, so when you get a chance, pop in and see the Artist of the Month. Our Rosie Floyd is moving. Rosie loves art, if you remember that. She coordinated everything for us, then they're moving to Arkansas. So Judy Eagle and Phyllis Jordan have taken her place, and they'll try to coordinate a calendar. So we'll all have something constantly displayed in the library. And just to catch you up to date, our children's summer reading program, we did well. It was a virtual, and it's not the kind of program we hoped we could have, but at least we had all of these entertainers, and I say entertainers, but they all promote reading, the importance of reading. They're fun, but they also have a message. And we did want to make a special effort to thank everyone who helped us. Of course, my budget funds from the city of Lago Vista, the Lago Vista Friends of the Library, the Lago Vista Lions Club, the Lago Vista Women's Club, Domino's Pizza, Sonic, PEC, Rolling Hills Community Church, and the Texas Commission on the Arts. So we're very grateful to have that support. And then just a little quick update on the City Hall expansion. That is on hold, or the library expansion is on hold right now. The City Hall is in dire need of space and some work. And so we're okay in the library, especially since the COVID time has happened and we had fewer people in there. So we still hope to have our update, our renovation and expansion, but it's just on hold for right now. And then
Wait, did you say that's just the library on hold?
just the
The
library,
City
no,
Hall
the
part
city,
is still?
they have a little committee right now that is studying and reviewing ideas to expand this area.
So would that change the plans completely of what we did?
We don't know right now. It's just kind of up in the air.
Kevin Sullivan, our liaison, if I remember correctly, says that the money is blocked. So the money for the library expansion is still in the budget. It didn't get used, but it's blocked, so it will remain in the budget. We don't have to lobby the city council again to give us building money. Okay, sorry to interrupt, go on.
Yeah, and it's no secret that the library staff hated the two-story, but that still may be. I was told by several people, including the library consultant, that you typically don't see two-story libraries in communities with 30,000 or fewer people. And it just loses I don't know what it is, the hominess, the charm, I don't know. But the two-story, the stairs, the elevator, things just took up space that could have been better used. So we're actually kind of hoping that maybe we'll get a little bit of a different plan. So, but we'll see. We'll do what we have to. And I gave you a list. Here's the annual report or the annual list of statistics that I submitted to City Council. So you can see where the numbers are of things that, people that have been coming into the library, new cards. And you have any questions from anyone?
I hear you're looking for more volunteers.
Yeah, we have a few applications. We just need to call them back and,
Good.
yeah, but we could use a few more volunteers now.
Okay. Any questions for Jan and her report? All right, thank you, Jan. You're doing a great job, I gotta tell you, under any and all circumstances.
Thank you for your kind words.
Holly Zarate, Friends of the Library report, please.
We just had our first book sale in almost 2 years, a couple of weeks ago. I guess it was just a week
Before
ago.
last.
Yes.
On October 1st and 2nd. We did it at the Grand Pavilion this year. We needed to because we just had so many books. And it worked really well because we were able to spread out the books and spread out the patrons. At any one time, we could have more than 30 people in that Grand Pavilion going through sorting books, and they were well placed. So it totally alleviated any COVID concerns.
You had 30 volunteers?
No, did I say volunteers?
No, you didn't, you said you,
Customers.
30, okay.
So we'll probably be doing it at that location going forward. It would easily accommodate bringing back the bake sale, which is very popular, so we're looking at doing that. We had a silent auction, which was successful, so we think that's gonna be a good venue for us. When we do that, though, then we have some costs, because now we have to pay for the pavilion rental, and there are a few other costs, but regardless, we netted about $3,100, which when you consider we were selling books for $10 a bag, we got a little over $1,200 in the silent auction. So we feel like it was a pretty successful event. And related to that, we had a Kendra Scott donation for our auction. They are going to do a give back promotion for us in November, a 2-day event, where anybody who makes a purchase from Kendra Scott and uses a special code, the Friends of the Library will get a 20% of the sales. So we're going to be doing a communication blitz on that coming up. We went back and forth on doing our annual membership dinner in November and finally just said we're just not comfortable doing it. So we canceled that, and we're going to do another mail solicitation event, which is what we did last year. And actually, the mail solicitation, we get at least as much, if not more money from that than we did from the dinner, because with the dinner, of course, you have expenses. So we're going to do that again this year, but we really want to be doing the dinner next year because it's just a fun event getting everybody together. So that's the highlights of the Friends of the Library group.
Are you meeting regularly in person?
We are meeting in person at the library.
Lucky.
And yes, we're very lucky. We're actually getting some new participants attending our board meetings. We're being more vigilant about doing email communication to members who give us their email address, and I think that's helping. And it's really encouraging because we're trying to build up our active ranks. We've got a lot of people that give money to the Friends of the Library, but as far as folks who are actively involved, we don't have that many. But it was very gratifying when we were loading up books to take from the library to the Grand Pavilion, and again when it was time to tear down the book sale event. When the word goes out that the library needs help, people come from everywhere. Dale was there. He can tell you, he saw it firsthand.
Yes.
I don't think I missed a book sale in 26 years.
And it's, just people show up with trucks, and they weren't even necessarily friends of the library officially, but I mean, they were there, and it's just wonderful. The library is very loved in this community. And back to what Jan was saying about a 2-story building, that becomes cold and impersonal. It's the ambiance of our library that is just so wonderful in this community, and that's a reflection of Jan and her staff.
And the volunteers.
I have a question. For the silent auction, 1,200 sounds like a lot. Was it community donating things, or where did you get the items to sell?
We have a wonderful board member, he's also a lion, Jerry Nelson Weiscott, and he gets stuff from, I don't know where he gets it.
All over.
He's
Okay.
a charmer, so I think he,
I understand now.
Yeah, he's been soliciting almost anything you can think of, from restaurants. He gets like trips
Yeah.
that are put up for significantly reduced prices, and so he's been very successful at that. He's got the gift of being able to pick somebody's
Persuasion.
pocket, Much like Alex Dunn used to do. Alex used to come up and say, "Give me $20," and you'd give him $20, and he'd go, "Oh, wait a minute, what was that for? Don't worry about it." You know?
Alex is the one that put me on this board.
So
Just,
Gary's a good guy.
oh, Holly, thank you. Congratulations on the success of Friends. All right, you're still on the agenda.
all right, well, I am gonna put my policy and procedures subcommittee chair hat on. And I'm going to try to make this relatively painless, because there's a lot of stuff there. Just 1 second.
I don't,
Trying to keep up with my minutes and do this.
do you want to do the quickies first, like
Well,
the bylaws?
yes.
Okay,
1A on the agenda talks about the update of the city rules of procedure that was adopted in July. And when you go through and read the rules of procedure, the only thing that is unique to our bylaws is our bylaws say that we meet quarterly. Because our board is established by the city council, we really don't have any discretion over what our operating rules are. The rules of procedure define who the officers are, define when elections are held, define terms of office, talk about how the meeting should be conducted, have the rules about the duties of the secretary with regard to minutes, how meetings have to be posted, yada, yada, yada. The only thing in the bylaws is we meet quarterly. So there's nothing that says that the board couldn't, if we wanted to continue meeting quarterly, January, the first meeting of the year in January, say, these are the 4 meeting dates for the current calendar year. We don't need bylaws for that. And maintaining the bylaws means somebody has to go through and update the bylaws to agree with the rules of procedure, which seems like a total waste of time to me. So my recommendation to the board is that they're no longer relevant and that we officially discontinue the bylaws.
Holly, that's probably a good idea. Remember, our bylaws for the board, Library Advisory Board were prior to any rules and procedures that the city came up for their boards and commissions. So,
okay,
I'll
do you
make
think
that-
a motion to do away with them is in order?
I make a motion that the bylaws of the Library Advisory Board are no longer necessary due to the city council rules of procedure and move that we discontinue the bylaws.
I second.
Any discussion before we vote? All those in favor of the motion to negate the bylaws? All those in
Aye.
favor, say aye.
aye.
Those opposed and abstentions, okay. Can we take these right out of our book now?
Take them right out of the book.
All right, here's my little throwaway pile. Yay! Got momentarily thinner. Okay,
The next thing I'd like to talk about is just a little bit of an overview of what the committee's been working on. You have a summary sheet in your packet. It's a spreadsheet that shows all the policies on it. Oh, yes, that one.
looks like this.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Your very organized secretary doesn't see where she put hers.
Here, you want to share?
Thank you. The ones that are highlighted in blue on this report are being presented to the board for the first time today, and we'll talk about those a little more in detail. 2 of them highlighted in green on that report, the Patron Code of Conduct and the Unattended Children Policy, you guys actually reviewed and approved in April. But what's happened since April is we have a new city manager. And so the committee, policy subcommittee, sent all of the policies that were approved in April and the ones we're presenting today to the city manager, just to see if she had any comments or suggestions. And she did have minor suggestions on the 2 presented in April, and they're highlighted in yellow on the copies I put in front of you, and we'll talk about those a little bit more later. There is one policy reflected on here, on the summary report, the Lago Vista Internet Use and Safety Policy. That one was approved by the city back in 2015. This is one that requires public hearings because the requirements of this policy have to agree with state requirements, I believe, wasn't it?
It was actually to get the federal E-rate funding.
That's right. So Jan had Dave Street review it. There aren't any needed updates to this policy. So the recommendation is leave that one alone, because if we were to make any changes to that, then we have to go through public hearings, and there really wasn't anything in there that warranted that level of effort. There will be 3 policies left after today that the policy subcommittee did not review, and those are the last 3 on this report. The lending policy, the meeting room policy, and the privacy and confidentiality of library records policies. Our committee recommends that those be tabled and that next year's policy subcommittee tackle them then. This group has been very active working on these policies this year. We've done a very deep dive. Jan has gone and looked at multiple library websites. We've done a lot of research and discussion. And frankly, we'd like to defer this to next year. Because in between all that, poor Jan's had to work on budgets, meet a new city manager, deal with COVID. And so the fact that we were able to go through 7 policies, one of which is brand new, it's really just kind of amazing. So that's the summary of that report. And I don't think we need any action on that at that point. Questions, comments about the report? Is there anyone who disagrees with tabling review of the last 3 policies to the next year, next calendar year?
No. Nope.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the collection policy. And let me just remind the board, any policy update that is recommended by our board still has to go to city council. This is not effective until city council moves to approve the policy update. So the actual documents, if you look at the signature block, very carefully it's worded to reflect recommended for approval by this board, and then our chairman signs it. And then there's a signature line for our library director to say she accepts our recommendation. Then at that point, these updated policies are packaged and sent to city council. They all go at once. That's the other reason why we didn't want to work on the last 3 this year. We wanted to get the 6 that have been done to city council approved and in the record. So the collection development policy, which I'll move on to agenda item 1C. The main difference between this policy and previous collection development policy is when it comes to challenged materials in the library. In the past, if a patron challenged an item that was in the collection at the library, Jan reviewed the challenge, and if they disagreed with the challenge, then it would come to the Library Advisory Board as a second line of review. We don't have that authority under the rules of procedure. So the very last section of this policy states that patrons have the right, if they disagree with Jan's decision, to have city council make a determination. Now, that doesn't mean that Jan can't, when she's reviewing material, ask for input from the board. It could be included on a board agenda. She could request a special board meeting be convened if she wanted input from the board. Nothing prevents our involvement, but our decision or recommendation is irrelevant. So that is, to me, from the board's perspective, the most significant change in this policy. The rest of the policy is a lot of time was spent trying to provide information to patrons about the criteria that is used to place things into circulation and take things out. And spent a lot of time looking at how other libraries also define that. And this whole challenge concept has really been in the news a lot lately. I don't know if y'all have noticed that.
I have a question. How often have you had any library materials challenged?
The only formal one we had was over Harry Potter.
That's why.
And I did not take it off, and there was nothing else said about it. And then when, oh gosh, what was the series? The Shades of Grey series.
Yeah, you said.
Someone removed them on their own. Someone actually stole them off the shelf, so.
Wow.
They didn't care about the policy and the procedure, did they?
They didn't even ask me, they just disappeared. Or maybe they just didn't have a problem with it, they just wanted them. I don't know.
Right, right. Add to their own
Yeah,
collection.
They
but
didn't
no,
wanna
Harry Potter,
be
I
seen
just,
by
I'm sorry I couldn't take Harry Potter off.
No.
Okay.
But that's the
That's
only
when it
one.
was in the news, both those were in the news.
Well, there've been 2 in the news within the past month. And of course, being the kind of person I am, even though they're children's books, I put them on my list to read. I want to see what the big deal is.
The challenge books happens more often in schools, when you're in school libraries or school required reading.
Makes sense.
Um,
Okay, next step.
Well, I want to, is there any discussion or questions about the collection development policy?
We do want to approve this, do we not?
I certainly hope so. I might even burst into tears if you don't.
I know.
And then, but what we do is we, I like the way everything looks the same. It's consistency and layout and design. It's fabulous. Okay. So do you want a motion to submit this to city council or to the city? Go ahead, you do it.
What, and this is all kind of new, but my recommendation to the board is that we recommend the updated collection development policy be submitted, or we recommend adoption of the updated collection development policy.
I second that.
And that's all we can do. And then it's up to Jan to hopefully accept it since she was on the committee. And then take care of getting it submitted to council.
Dale's made a motion. Can I have a second?
I second it because I thought she was saying,
She made the
I move
Okay.
we recommend the approval of the library advisory board, the collection development policy.
Okay.
But I'll make
Now we'll
the-
have a second. Trish.
Sure. I second it.
Thank you. Discussion, vote, nope, we're done discussing it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay, or abstain? Okay, moving right along.
All right, now we're gonna talk about,
Nobody's gonna give you any trouble, Holly, I guarantee it.
now the next one is a brand-new policy. The volunteer policy. Jan's always had a procedure, and Jan, you hop in here too, because, I mean, Jan is, she was a driver on this committee. Jan and the library has always had a procedure for volunteers. What we've done is create a formal policy, and what is brand new to this is we are recommending city council require criminal background checks for volunteers at the library. We've not had those before, and you can't volunteer at a school without a criminal background check. And the volunteers at the library, speaking is one. Here comes Dan. You've got access to a lot of information that we should be doing criminal background checks in the committee's opinion.
Can you take a seat? There's
Maybe
no
right
more
here?
room up
About the
here.
desk.
Maybe at the
Right here at the
desk?
desk, Dan, right here,
Just get Kleenex.
this desk, right here.
Meeting started at 10 o'clock.
I should have sent out a,
Email I got at 10 o'clock.
Originally, when we were doing it, go to meeting, it was 10, but Jan
It-
nixed that, sorry.
That was your special, that was your special meeting. They've always been 9 o'clock.
Almost anything you do these days, as far as participating in stuff like we're doing,
I got the 10 o'clock.
requires
The last
a,
one started at 9, right there.
Sorry, Dan, misunderstanding.
Look at the date on that.
requires a criminal background check. And I think that's entirely appropriate to do that, particularly as it relates to the interface with kids. I think it's important. So I think it's warranted. We should have been doing it. So I know maybe some of the other organizations like the school. I know I volunteer at the church and they require that as well. So, and I'm not sure that we shouldn't have some sort of orientation as it relates to being a volunteer and some of the rules that might be expected of you. Right.
They do that,
Okay,
they do that.
so what's inappropriate behavior for interfacing with kids, for example?
I know.
Right. Get some idea of things you should or shouldn't do. You know, it could be entirely benign, but, you know, be misinterpreted, so. So I think the policy and getting the check on folks is a good idea. Criminal background check, we'll give the, I guess DPS does those.
And the city would pay the fee, right? There's a
Well,
little bit of a fee.
actually, there is a company that the HR director told me about that the city uses, and I think we could do that.
Okay.
But yeah, this was something that was recommended by other libraries too. They said, you know, you really should do this, and if you're gonna handle money, work with children, you know, this is just the right thing to do. And could I also add too, the city attorney, Erin Silvera, helped, she designed the library volunteer agreement release and waiver of liability. She said, she recommended several months ago that that was something the library should have. So we have this included now also.
Are you gonna back up and do existing staff and volunteers?
Yeah, I
If
think
this
we
is
would have-
passed?
I think we'd have to,
Yes.
yeah.
Want to, just to be covered.
All right. Motion to accept?
You want to do it? I'll second.
Go for it.
But there's certain language, maybe I won't get it right. I
Yes.
would like to make a motion to accept the volunteer policy as presented, and both for going forward and then go ahead and review for the people that are already existing as volunteers.
We,
Did I say all that? I have to say.
I think probably we need to limit the recommendation to that we recommend approval of the volunteer policy. Because we
Recommend.
can't require, as a board, we can't make anybody do anything.
Okay. I recommend we approve the volunteer policy as presented today.
Okay?
Second,
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Unanimous again. Thank you. Moving right along.
Interlibrary loan policy. This is one that's been around for quite a while. The only thing that is a little bit different for it is, and Dan, if I cite the wrong group, please correct me. In order to participate in the Texas Interlibrary Loan System Program, we have to follow certain guidelines and requirements. And one of the things is they put a cap on how much you can charge patrons who request interlibrary loans. What we are recommending is that we raise the fee charged by our library to more, to match the cap imposed by the state, or limited by the state. I think the state cap is $3.10. Currently, our library is charging $2.50.
It's been that way for 15 years probably, and it's not covering the postage
So this
of
policy
sending books. Yeah.
Bumps it to $3, just to keep it an even number. All of the other provisions in here are consistent with what is required by the state in order to participate in the interlibrary loan program, which is, Jan includes those stats on her director's report. This is something that is utilized.
And Holly, I'm still not sure if the $3 has to be approved by the city council. That's something we'll have to check into. All our other fees do, but because this fee is set by the state, it's maybe different, but I don't foresee a problem, but it is something that they may have to approve too.
And if that's necessary, when they review the policies, they can update the fee schedule
Yep.
resolution.
Looks good.
You wanna make this motion?
Yes, please.
Oh, no, that's mine.
Oh.
All right, I make a motion that we recommend the new fee and policy for the interlibrary loan.
Are you recommending approval of just the fee or the policy also?
The fee and the policy.
Second?
I second.
Thank you. Discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, passes. Okay.
Patron code of conduct policy.
Okay.
This is one that the board had reviewed and approved or recommended for approval back in April, but we asked the new city manager to review it since she was reviewing all of the other policies as well. And she had a couple of very minor comments that it seemed wise to go ahead and incorporate. I highlighted those in yellow. Probably the most significant change was under the bullet or under the section where it says respect others.
Did you say some of yours came out black and white?
Well, that's why I brought the
It's
colored
in other
copies.
places.
Okay.
She had this here this morning, the highlighted.
All right. No, that's okay. I just don't see yellow on mine.
Here, do you want?
They're in front.
The ones
They
in
were,
front of you.
They were
they were
sitting
on the
here.
dais when you came in.
Yeah.
Try that one.
Oh, is that what these are? Okay. Okay, I got it.
Told everybody this morning when I made the copies for the packets, I didn't realize I was doing everything in black and white.
Oh, this doesn't have the 3-hole punch. Got it.
That very last bullet under respect others, the city manager suggested that language should be no photographing or filming in the library without prior permission at all. What we had before was a little more vague, and this is just an absolute statement. The city manager also recommended in the bullet above that we specifically include e-cig smoke.
Looks okay. We recommend for approval the patron code of conduct policy.
Thank you, Dale.
I second.
Thank you. Trish, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Discussion? Nays? Okay. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're getting there. Unattended children policy. This was a similar situation. We had previously reviewed this. In April, the city manager had requested we include the word guardian in a couple of places.
Is this my copy or yours?
Yeah, go for it.
And then under the next to the last bullet, when we're talking about what happens if children are still at the library and it's closing time, that bullet says all children, and we added wording to say age 14 and younger. I think previously it was all children must be picked up. And we didn't really define and specify an age. The age 14 and younger, Jan actually talked to
Captain Reyes, the police department.
the police department. There are some laws or ordinances, regulations that the police department looks at with regard to minor children when they need to take action. And this was the age that he recommended. And then, of course, when this gets presented to city council, the city attorney is going to review this. So the city attorney may have an opinion on that age, but this is what the Captain Reyes suggested would be most appropriate.
All right. Can I have a motion to accept the unattended children's policy?
I move we recommend for
Dale.
approval the unattended children policy.
I second.
Thank you, Tricia. Discussion? Vote?
I want to ask,
Oh.
what about 15 and 16-year-olds? But if Officer Ray is recommended, but it
Well-
seems like you could get in trouble at 15 and 16 too, 17.
Well, you've got, at that age, you can drive your own
They're
car.
in high school.
I mean, they're in high school.
I see.
They
They can walk around.
can move around, do what they want, you know.
Okay,
This actually was intended for younger people. We had a lady who used to like to pick up her young daughter 20 minutes after we closed, and I would sit outside with this little girl, and I got tired of doing that.
okay, gotcha.
And
Okay.
so I got permission from the police department to call them, and
You're not
nobody
speaking.
got in trouble, it's just the lady had to pick up her child from the police department. It was a little bit,
Gotcha.
she quit doing it, I'll put it that way.
I'll bet.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what that's for.
I see.
And if there's a 15-year-old out there that, you know, is afraid, or, we're not gonna leave the
Oh,
child.
sure,
yeah.
sure. Okay.
But we could call the police and say, hey, would you keep an eye on this young lady, or could she wait at the police station?
Okay, okay. That's my only question.
Okay. Any further discussion before we vote? Let's vote. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Nays, abstentions? Okay, it passes. Thank you. Thank you, Holly.
All right, well, not just me, we've got Mr. Olson down here
Yes?
and Jan. Like I said, this has been a very active committee.
Good. I know you've worked hard on it.
The
And it-
last policy on here is the text share card policy. And we included this on the agenda because we weren't sure if there might not have been some last minute changes to it, but there were none. So we don't need to take any action on this because the text share card policy was reviewed and approved by the board back in April.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Any questions for Holly? Any? All right.
I just
Holly?
have one question.
Sure.
The copy that we have, the ordinance, is this one you gave us before?
I had emailed that before.
Okay, so there's nothing new, different on this one?
That's the one from
Okay.
July the 15th that was
Okay.
adopted this summer. And I really do encourage folks to read it because it's very specific about how we're supposed to conduct business. And we may even want to consider next year having someone as a parliamentarian or rules person or whatever to kind of keep us in line.
But that's more important.
Good idea.
That's more important if you've got a regulatory responsibility,
Right.
I agree, but our meetings are televised,
yes.
so and unfortunately, we have to adhere to the same the same rules as
Correct.
everybody else, which seems overkill for a board.
Yep. Moving right along. All right, Dale Mitchell, Long Range Plan Subcommittee. We have that in our binders, if you all want to turn to that page.
As you recall, the long-range plan was passed in, and approved in 2017, and it calls for an annual review by the Library Advisory Board, and it states at least two members and a staff member would be on that review. It was done in 2018, it was done in 2019, and for some reason, we didn't get it done in 2020.
Oh.
But we did initiate action in 2021, the start of the year, to do an annual review. We put out, I think, a draft earlier for review of the Library Advisory Board that included both the 2019, which is a pre-pandemic review, and one that we knew would be considered as being during the pandemic, the 2021. We're trying to keep it kind of shorter and use the terminology on the 2021 update status. We use the terminology of no change, which meant that there was no change in the status from September of 19 to now, but a lot of people kind of interpreted that to mean that there hadn't been any change in actual strategy. So we went back after that, we discussed that, and we've got some more of your comments and really kind of elaborated on each status. Jan had considerable things that she wanted to kind of add to give more status to the fact that we were operating during the pandemic and we were doing as much as we possibly could to serve the community. So what you have here is our April of 2021 document. We've kept it at that because I think we'll probably, no need to go back at this stage of the game in October to try to update it. We'll catch that when we do the next one. And here I do say at the very end that we will approve it at a Library Advisory Board meeting. So I hope that it's a document that you can take when you go to the city council and give your spiel to them about the operation of the library. And I would doubt that if there's any other board in the city that has done this much detail work on keeping up on the activities of that function.
Right. From what I understand, we're the only board that submits its agendas in advance, that submits its minutes for review, and now we'll be Facebook stars.
YouTube.
YouTube star, okay, thanks.
So,
You know. Okay, just reading the very first one. In April of on the Library Expansion Task Force, which to me doesn't even exist anymore. In fact, when Jan, you said that
how about
it was
time?
on hold, that it's just indefinitely, at the moment, dead in the water.
It's not dead in the water, it's that I offered that to the mayor to
I know
put
you
it on.
did.
Well, it just didn't make sense to keep expanding the library when we're okay right now, when the city needed the help so much. That was, I gave,
But
But you're-
if they still have them, how has that if our money is still there waiting?
well,
So it really,
Councilman Sullivan could have answered this better
Okay.
than
Yeah.
here. But, okay.
Oh,
Could
I would like to
Tracy-
recognize the woman in the audience.
This is our city manager, Tracy Lavinka.
Nice to meet you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy, for coming.
It's a pleasure and thank you. So I'm going to answer this question. I apologize. I do have another meeting to get to, but even though the money was allocated for the library expansion, that money doesn't go away. What we've done is we've reprogrammed it and we put it in the municipal complex line item. So it's not that it has disappeared or it's unaccounted for. It's that we've just reprogrammed it somewhere else for the FY 21-22. I don't know if anybody is aware, but it might be a little warm in here. It's because one of our AC units decided to go amok on Tuesday. All these things wait until 1 hour after I leave town. And we had the fire department called out, and so we have a couple of things that are of a major need for repair, or hopefully that we can actually do something about people being in small little closets or one on top of another. I appreciate that Jan does recognize that we can't even hire people right now because we just don't have room to put them. Yet we're a growing city and we need more personnel to take care of things. So thank you to the library board for, at least acknowledging that these things are necessary and nothing happens without money. So on the 21st, we will go to the council and we will put together a municipal complex presentation for them. It is very high level. It is so that they can make some decisions about what we will do with our personnel here in this place, keeping in mind that there are some things that we would like to do to probably bring together a municipal complex instead of having separate buildings. It's not going to be an easy fix and it's not going to be a quick fix. Short term is probably 2 years to be realistic, just because there has been no planning for this in the past, so we're starting from scratch. But because of the money that was with the library board, with the expansion that we have actually programmed, it is actually giving us a really good foot to do some things. Logistically, we need to put people in a different place for a short period of time. There will be furniture and things. We need to worry about what type of connection for internet that we are going to do, and all those things take money. So it is very beneficial. We actually raised some of those funds. I think it was something like 725,000. So we raised that to $1 million so that we can actually do some due diligence, and it may require either leasing a property or having a temporary building for that. So I hope that answers your question.
Indeed.
Well, I have one other question. It was my understanding that we were trying to address a couple of things. One was the inadequacy of the municipal offices, as well as the library expansion, kind of as one event, rather
That
than,
is one of the options that we will be proposing.
understanding that, I've been talking to some of the other council folks and stuff. I understand you got no space and that sort of stuff, and you gotta have some sort of temporary fix, but as far as going forward with the municipal as well as the library expansion, are they gonna be in tandem or detached, or do you don't know, or?
At this point, I could not tell you that, and I don't want to raise an expectation. That is a conversation that they will have on the 21st. It all depends on what they plan to do in the short term. I think that if they choose one of the options, it will have a lot of impact on the library, just because they will be looking at really building out the complex that's right here. If they choose to relocate somewhere else, the long term, I'm not sure what that looks like.
Okay.
If I had my rathers, and I'm only speaking as a city manager, I think it makes sense that we focus on keeping everything in one location and that we expand both at the same time, because you get more bang for the buck. And that would be my consideration and suggestion to the council.
And our only recommendation to you is the previous plan of having a 2-story building that was already pre-designed doesn't sound like the right solution for the library expansion.
And we will definitely be reevaluating all those things, just to make sure that it makes sense for us, and then it makes sense for the library, and that, as you know, we're growing. So that means that the library's needs are growing, and I recognize that. And so we need to make sure that we keep those all in mind when we're doing any of these expansions. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank
welcome
I
aboard.
appreciate
Thank you for
all the
coming.
work that you do. I happen to be a real fan of the library, so hopefully I will get to see many of you in the near future, and I appreciate the time. Sorry I cannot stay for longer.
Thank you,
All
Tracy.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Madam Chairperson, I put the timeline, we put the timeline in here in the April 21st update to recognize that we started out with a library expansion task force that was formed in the end of 2019. And they kind of were involved with moving forward with getting the library planning and design consultant hired with a recommendation. But then we changed our name to the Library Design Committee. And so that's what happened after we kind of disbanded that library expansion task force at the end of 2019 and got the Library Design Committee. And that's what the documents had that we, when we met.
Yes.
So it's only just a timeline of what had happened.
All right, everybody is looking this over. You want to do it in more detail, or do you see it, approve of it?
Well, it's not changed since
It
the
is.
April timeframe. It's a question of what,
Well, you expanded on that
yeah,
ongoing thing. On the,
that might,
what was it? You know, how it was not enough detail for some. They wanted numbers, and I see it here now.
yeah.
I make a motion to accept the long-range plan annual review.
Thank you,
I second.
thank you. Discussion? Vote, please. Elaine's gone, but all those in favor say aye.
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 Oh, good. All right, thank you, Dale.
Thank you, committee.
Which leads me right into the annual board report to the city council. I have not done this yet. From what I understand, it's very short, it's a 3-minute report. What would you like me to say? I can say we've updated policies and procedures. We've updated long-range plan. Are there specifics? And to me, don't you do this every month, don't you report to the board, Jan, every?
I just send a written report.
Oh, you don't?
No,
Okay.
I think it's, yeah.
I'll acknowledge, COVID and how it put us into go to meetings and but I think I'll go back
When was the
to-
last time that you did report?
I
to
never
the-
have reported to them.
Oh, yes, you did.
We did one,
Yes, you did it in two.
2009, was it 18 or 19? I think.
All right, well then I've
Yeah, the-
let it
Three of
go.
us were- yeah.
So I'd like to
Yeah.
tell them how we worked hard on the new library expansion and we met with Danelle and we and now it's on hold, so we're doing paperwork in the meantime. All right,
Yeah, we'll
all right,
help you out with that,
yeah.
supply you with some things.
Do you, are you supposed to give a written report also?
Kevin just said he'd like all the boards, library being one of the 7, to report annually here at city council meetings. And it would be a very short report. I think as our liaison, he wants the council to see that his group is
Active.
on it, and which is fine.
Would you like for me to, draft a little one-page bullet thing for you to review?
Oh, yes, I would.
And we could send it to the whole board for comment?
Oh, for additions okay. Yes, yes.
Then will you speak at the October 21st meeting?
Well, I think I need to be on the agenda, and I think I was under the impression when Kevin first suggested it, that all the boards come at that one meeting in June or July was his suggestion, and all boards, report. I don't think anybody has done that at all.
The Parks and Rec did.
Did they?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I will, in October 21, it's obviously a big budget meeting and all this other stuff.
That's-
I will
Yeah.
speak with Kevin and see what he recommends. Because I think he has to put it on the agenda, not even me.
Well, the budget for next year has already
It's
been
done.
approved.
Yeah.
Right, so
Right.
but the money's been approved, but then the plan, the long-term
So
plan.
I find it a little strange that they're doing it on October 21st, when on November 2nd, there will be 3 new members to the city council.
Yep, you're right.
So the old council is now making the plans for the municipal complex, and 3 of the 7 will not be there the next month.
Okay, so have you stated your concerns to
No,
them?
I just heard that today. Right?
Oh,
Right.
I just heard from
she-
Tracy.
October
Okay,
21st.
yeah. I didn't realize that was her first mention. I've not met her before. Okay, well,
As you know, I always find these things a little strange that we've got an outgoing city council.
well, you know what? Maybe when I talk to Kevin about things
That's
like
politics.
meetings, I will ask him
That's
about.
politics.
That's politics.
It's politics.
Holly, I was just gonna say, I would include in there how we've worked with the director and how we've had going through some of those things in her monthly reports. But I really think that talking about the challenges that the library has faced and our recommendations, our involvement in those would be good.
And
Nicely put.
the statistics show that the visitations are increasing.
Yep.
It was good to hear her say she supports libraries, so that was,
Yeah,
She does them all that, doesn't she?
She what?
she was,
Does ever, right?
Oh,
That's what she
yeah.
does.
It's her
right,
job.
you're right. She supports parks too, sure.
she's been very supportive when I've asked for help.
Good.
And the fact that she went over your policies and procedures
Yes.
for really relatively minor changes or recommendations, I like that too. Okay, the board's goals and objectives for 21, yeah. We kind of have
To the agenda.
achieved those. I don't think they were ever written down, but clearly updating the long-range plan, updating this, those are nice achievements for 2021. And I guess maybe in January 22, we'll come up with some we'll put that on the agenda
January.
for our next meeting. Anybody got comments? We're moving right along the agenda. You people know that some of your terms are ending and you need to reapply on November 1. And I don't know how,
Does anyone need a list?
well, we all have
I
it.
sent, yeah,
You got it.
I
You
emailed
do.
you, yeah.
It's part of our binder package here.
I
Tricia,
highlighted it.
you need to. Anyways, Dan Olson has decided not to reapply on the November 1st deadline.
Yeah. I've enjoyed working on this committee for a number of years.
A number of years. How many years?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just moved over from the Friends of the Library to over here, so it goes on
Yeah.
for many, many years.
Well, we appreciate your participation through
May I say
even-
something too? I'm sorry, Sharon.
Yes, no,
I thought you were
please.
finished. I just want Dan to know how much I appreciate him. I don't even know how to express my thanks for that. All the help you've given us over the years with the Friends of the Library, helping raise money, with the library expansion. I mean, he was instrumental in helping us get that previous expansion and getting things done. And Dan has this organizational ability that is, and just I don't know how to say it, Dan. I'll cry if I start doing this, but I love you, Dan. I want you to know how much you are appreciated in this community.
But it's been a pleasure
For what
working
you've
with
done.
all of you
Yeah.
on reports. Especially this year with Holly.
Oh,
I
thank
bet that
you.
was amazing.
That was great. Good years, a good plan year for me with Holly and all that, and she was a great leader of our group.
Thank you.
But Dan was a stalwart for many years and the Friends of the Library president and all that. When I saw a couple of the old documents that I had in the binder that had Don Brown's signature on them, I said, I remember Don Brown and Dan back when we again had to accept the offer of a old fire station as our new library expansion building. And the way it turned out was just wonderful, all except for the storage room that we had to add on at the very last minute. And Dan and Don Brown were in there fighting all the way against Frank Robbins and Bill Angelo and trying to get it done the correct way, and it turned out to be very nice.
Yeah, so thank you. I thought it turned out great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Great support from.
And Dan and the crew had plans for a library addition coming this direction prior to that. But when we got the exchange of that fire station for, that's what we got done.
Perfect for that meeting room, didn't it?
Well, I feel a lot of pride in everything that has happened in the library since I've been working with it. I'm not responsible for all of it, but a lot of you contributed. I think we have a great library.
We do.
So Jan, how does the city advertise to the public that it's time to apply for these positions?
Yes.
And do you make any efforts as librarian with your
Well, it's,
volunteers or people you know that are active?
yeah, we let people know, and if you've seen the city sign, it's on the
Yeah.
city sign
Saw
coming
that.
down Loman,
Okay,
that it's time to do it, and the city is advertising it. Yeah,
Okay.
and in fact, we mentioned it to someone in the library the other day,
okay.
that
Good.
there's,
I think something came in the bills as well.
yeah, in the
Water
city,
bill.
water bill,
Yeah.
I believe there's something in it too.
The water bill has different information about garbage pickup than is on the website. On the website, it says they take computers, monitors, and on the paper that came in the water bill, it says no computers, no monitors, no things. So just to let you know, I don't know which one's correct. I'm assuming the online account is correct because they probably had to print those water bills in
They
that
are.
newsletter.
They are,
A
they're
month
put
ago.
together 3 weeks ahead of time.
All right, let's talk about our January, starting in January, the 2022 schedule. Our meetings have traditionally been the second Monday of each quarter, so that would be January
10,
10. And then we'll go to April 11.
Well, don't you think we should maybe let the January board adopt their meeting schedule for that year?
Well, let's,
Yeah.
it's al-
Be okay.
it's always,
Already
it's
got 'em on
always
the
been,
calendar.
it's always been the second Monday of every quarter.
But we don't have bylaws anymore. So what I had suggested earlier
Change it.
is that the first meeting of each calendar year, the board just, and it may be that same interval, but
Right.
just officially adopt, these are our regular meeting dates.
And if we adopt those in January, those of us who are going to be here, then they would be on the second Monday of the April, July, and October, right?
Right. All right, we'll put it on the agenda.
So we can say the meeting's January 10th, but then
So-
we'll, at that meeting.
And go ahead, got it.
Okay.
So the first one's
We'll
January.
do the next three. All right. So that's
And-
January 10th, Monday at 9 a.m. Sorry, Dan. Really sorry about that. Good. Okay. Well, what do you think? Anybody?
I think we should adjourn.
I definitely agree. I don't think we need a motion or anything, do we? I can just like do this.
Gotta use the gavel. Gotta use the gavel.
Going crazy
Thank
with
you
that
all for
gavel.
coming, thank you all. Happy holidays, maybe even. Holly will send out the draft minutes in the next month or two.
Oh, they'll be this week.
I know they will, but I just
Aw.
thought I would, you know.
Oh,
And
You are good, yeah, wow.
so read them over and send her all your corrections, additions, corrections, so that we can finalize those before the end of the year. We'll have election of officers in January.
First item on the agenda.
Yeah, but that's so weird.
Now, are we adjourned or not?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
She banged the gavel. You are,
Yeah, so
she made it official.
you're saying don't talk anymore about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
yeah. Well, I guess then, I'm not gonna do a nominating committee because we've adjourned, so anybody can just throw their hat in the ring come Monday, January 10th.
I like this. I always wondered how the council members knew what the
Yeah.
Texas
Signatures?
pledge
Okay.
was. Here it is written
I
here,
know,
so they can read it.
I'm embarrassed to admit
When
that I
they
didn't
when
know
they turn
it.
around.
I had a student who's
Some of the
part
city
of the
stuff
group
would drive you
Boy Scouts
crazy.
responsible for
Municipal
getting that under guard.
Oh,
Good.
protocol kind of thing.
I was embarrassed first time they did it, and I didn't know
Oh,
it.
yeah, see, you have to say
I've
that in
lived-
schools now.
I've lived here long enough, I should know that now.
And you want today's date?
Yes.
Which is
Don't leave yet. I
11.
gotta go tell Stan we're done.
of
Elaine,
October.
Yes, that thing
you're
is
gonna
still
get your
going.
binder.
Okay.
Jan, are you gonna sign these?
Where is Jan? Oh, up
She's
over.
right
Good to
here.
see you.
Oh, she's on that side of me, okay.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do with all this time now?
For the.
I'm just gonna relax a little bit.
Do you have a
I'm gonna
pen?
sign them now. Yeah. No, I don't have a pen. I'll have to,
All right.
I have a
Yeah, I
pencil.
know, I tried to.
Holly, these are gorgeous.
This is a really good year. I'm listening to all of it.
Take
I
care.
bet so. I went to the
Oh.
city.
Hope to see you before January.
Yeah, probably in this room.
Yeah.
In
Sorry.
fact, I was noting October the 21st, that's gotta be a full council meeting.
Yeah.
Because there's other
Yeah.
stuff on the agenda.
Yeah.
In fact, I wanna,
You mentioned.
Plan to be here.
I wanna get my 3 minutes of fame on
No, I'm
On YouTube.
kind of twitchy.